Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface. Welcome back today to this Motorsport Manager career. We've got round 8, the German Grand Prix in Munich coming up on this Williams Resurrection career. The last episode we did our home Grand Prix, the Guildford Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix. We had an absolutely amazing race. Esteban Ocon coming in 3rd place, another podium finish for him. Sergei Sorokin, his best race to date, a 4th place, our best race overall to date. Absolutely amazing performances from both drivers. We tried a little bit of a riskier strategy with Esteban Ocon. It seemed to keep him a little bit higher up the order. Maybe he could have gone a little bit further, or maybe he would have fallen back. We won't know unless we could somehow rerun that race and go over the whole sort of scenario again, but obviously that isn't happening. Esteban Ocon, Sergei Sorokin doing really well there. We're currently still 4th in the Constructors' Championship. Pretty decent lead over Haas. I wouldn't see us losing this 4th place as the season goes on. We're pretty safe there. Esteban Ocon 5th place, he's doing excellent. Sergei Sorokin up into 11th with 20 points this season. Really good performance from him, but we're still thinking about bringing a new driver in next season for Sergei Sorokin, someone we can sort of build the team around long term to be Esteban Ocon's long-term partner, because the aim is still to win the championship, back-to-back championship with Williams, hopefully sometime before like season 6, and then move on to a new team at that point. Whether I can get it done that quickly or not is another thing entirely. The Munich Grand Prix, meanwhile, the gearbox and the brakes are the crucial parts here. There are 2 worst parts in the car, so Munich might be a bit of a hard race for us. There's going to be rain in qualifying, as we know with the AI. It does cause a little bit of disruption with how the AI qualifies, but we can't do anything about that. Meanwhile, on the car, we're still just improving the brakes and gearboxes that we've just put in the car. We're working on another gearbox. Obviously this is the one that we're still building from the last episode. It's not being completed between races, so there's still another 4 days to go on this, so it will be ready after the Munich Grand Prix. This is the gearbox that we're building to go in the car once we can introduce the upgrades next time, which is at Milan. Hopefully I can get another couple of brake builds done as well, and maybe I don't know, I don't think we'll have time for much else, but we'll have to think about that when it comes to it. Other than that, we're going to jump straight into this Munich Grand Prix. We're going to go PNC. There is a chance we could get half of this paid out. Obviously we can't get the full 500 paid out because there's no chance we're qualifying in the top 3, and both drivers are still happy. Esteban's still at 0% but 12% against the other car, whereas Sergei's 1%, 11% against the other car. Both drivers are thinking their car's better than the other. Obviously it's not, they're both pretty even. But anyway, we're going to jump into the Munich Grand Prix, practice off camera as usual, and we'll be back in a second to see how qualifying goes for us. So here we go with the first qualifying lap of this session. Rain is due to come right at the end, so we're going to do our 2 runs straight away. But Sorokin perfect on both the brake temps and tyre temps. We'll just see what Ocon does here. Is he going to be able to get perfect as well? It looks like perfect and good. So not too bad from both drivers there. As we know, this track doesn't suit the strengths of our car. In practice, Esteban Ocon was 15th. Sergei Sorokin, well, not Sergei Sorokin, Lance Stroll did practice in place to Sergei Sorokin just so we can get that little bit of extra money. Lance Stroll was down in 17th place, so I wouldn't expect us to be too near the top. And as we can see, 5 tenths off after the first sector here for Sergei Sorokin. Esteban Ocon though quite a bit quicker, 2 tenths off, a second down Sergei Sorokin after the second sector. It looks like Ocon's quite a bit quicker than his teammate here. We have seen Sorokin, I think twice this season, out-qualify his teammate. Maybe we can have a look at that after the race, but Ocon not too far back here. Sorokin's at the back of the pack. Ocon is up there ahead of the Haas cars, ahead of a McLaren as well. So a pretty decent lap there from Esteban Ocon. And with us doing our second lap pretty much straight away, we might be getting a decent lap in as well. Esteban Ocon's actually all the way up into 7th place, so he's going to put himself in a really good position for the race. Obviously there's a massive gap there, but we're the best of the rest outside of the top 3 cars there with Ocon. 7th place. Still about 2 tenths down on the second Ferrari, Valtteri Bottas. We're just going to see these other cars that start coming back out again. We'll send Sorokin out first, as we usually do. Wait for him to come out of the pits, and then we'll send Ocon out to do his second qualifying lap. So here comes Ocon now. We're probably not going to see either of these guys get the tyre temps and brake temps as good as he did, as we can see with Sorokin. His brakes are a little bit overheated here. Hopefully Ocon can go a little bit quicker. No, not even quicker, but a little bit better. But his brake temps off there. So what we want to do is stay ahead of the Red Bull here. Carlos Sainz has managed to go quicker. We just need to pick up a little bit of time with Esteban Ocon to see if we can move him back up into that 7th place here. So Rotkin's gone quicker on this lap. He's currently 19th place. Ericsson, who's already done his second lap, has come into the pits. What's Sorokin going to do? Can he improve? He does. He goes 18th fastest, moves himself up. Esteban Ocon, though, is slower on his second lap. He's not going to really go any quicker. It doesn't look like. No, he stays 8th. And it looks like those are going to be the positions that we stick to at the start of the race, because everyone else will be doing the AI. Like the Mercedes and stuff, they will be coming out right at the end of the session for some reason on the intermediate tyre. But as it is, we'll be back in a second and we'll go over the grid. So here we go with the grid for the 2019 German Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel on the front row of the grid as usual. K-Mag in third in the second silver Aero. Felix Rosenqvist having a really good qualifying session, gets his Renault all the way up to 4th place. Danny Rick in the Red Bull behind the Works Renault team. In 5th place in the Red Bull. Valtteri Bottas off form as he was in the Mercedes last year, 6th place. Carlos Sainz in the Haas, 7th. Then Esteban Ocon, a really good qualifying session for him. 8th place. We're sort of challenging the Haases here. Like, out of the other 7 teams, we're seemingly, especially with Esteban Ocon, we're right up there at the moment. Max Verstappen in the Red Bull with a dodgy neck. He's recently had flu. He's got a dodgy neck as well now. Red Bull 9th with Max Verstappen. Stoffel Van Dorn rounding out the top 10 in the McLaren. Nico Hulkenberg, who usually qualifies pretty well, 11th place in that Renault car. Roman Grosjean, 12th place in the Haas. Billy Johnson, off the back row of the grid for once in that Toro Rosso. Charles Leclerc, probably, no, he's got whiplash instead of a dodgy neck in the Sauber, 14th. Kimi Raikkonen, 15th place in the McLaren. His stats are taking a real hit at the moment. I think he's dropped down to like a 3 and maybe a quarter star driver. He's sort of past the age threshold where the stats just take a massive tumble really rapidly. So possibly Kimi Raikkonen's last season in this game, at least. Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso. Nikita Mazepin off form, 17th. Or Nikita Mazepin off form. Well, he's off form, but he's off the back row of the grid as well. 17th place for him. Sergei Sorokin 18th for us. Sergio Perez all the way down in 19th position in the Force India. And as usual, Marcus Ericsson has now moved to the back of the grid. As usual, he's been up into 19th for the last 2 races, I think. But he's on the back row now in this. And so just have a look at this. We've got Roman Grosjean starting on used soft tyres here. We've gone for the medium tyre with Esteban Ocon. Obviously, because he's inside the top 10, I've got to go with one of the 2 softest tyre compounds, but he can one-stop this race. He will be going medium and then hard. So Rotkin's going to do the opposite. He's going to go hard and then onto the medium, but he does need to, if he wants to do that, or we want him to do that, he does have to make this hard tyre go a little bit longer than what it says it can do. So that's why we're starting out in conserve mode. Ocon, he's a little bit better with tyre wear due to his smoothness rating in the game, so he can actually go a little bit further. So he's got a little bit of room to push here, but we're going to have to look after the tyres because the weather is quite hot here in Germany. It's 25 degrees, so these tyres do have the potential to get hot. But anyway, the red lights are on and it's lights out here in Germany, and off we go. Esteban Ocon, though, slow off the line. He lets the Red Bull of Max Verstappen past him, and Nico Hulkenberg, a really good start in that Renault. Luckily, Ocon has not dropped too far down the order, but he's under pressure from the McLaren now. A Stoffel Van Dorn, Roman Grosjean on the other side of him. Is Ocon going to be able to hold on to this? Maybe we should get him pushing just so we don't lose this track position. Although Grosjean gets past Stoffel Van Dorn, forcing Ocon onto the grass. Luckily, Ocon doesn't lose control of the car there. Although I don't think the gear really takes into effect those sort of things. But Sorokin is sort of just making his strategy work. He's fallen down the order, down right to the back of the order now, but he's still fighting with Perez, and that's Nikita Mazepin that's fallen down. Force India really struggling this season. It doesn't look like Ocon's going to be able to make this move, so just to be careful, we're going to have to turn down just because we want to make this one-stop strategy work. Ocon has fallen down to 12th place. Obviously, we know our car is not the best around this German track. Gearbox and the brakes crucial here. We qualified way above our level of where I thought we would be. I thought we would possibly be around 12th, but qualifying 8th, we know Ocon does have the race to start +2. It's just a really poor start from him, which is not usual for him. He usually makes really good starts, does Esteban Ocon, but Sirotkin's still here. He's around and about with these Force Indias, so let's just concentrate on what we're doing with Ocon here. Maybe we should wait on the fuel as well with Sirotkin, seeing as he's just sort of biding his time along with these Force Indias. We can't really afford to push with him, although his tyres are pretty cold here, so we're going to have to do a quicker lap, aren't we? I thought the tyres would stay warm with the weather being a little bit hotter than usual, but if we just get these off the bottom here and then we can run in neutral for a little while. Now we've conserved for the first few laps. Meanwhile, we just want to keep these tyres within the main operating window for these tyres. We're still 12th place. We're a second behind the McLaren. Obviously, the McLaren and the Haas is still a lot better car than ours, especially around this track. So if we can just hang on, obviously the Renault's possibly going to 2-stop. The McLaren might be trying for a 1-stop just like we are. We're going to conserve for a lap here as well, just so we can stretch this medium tyre out to the point that we want it to go to. Just got to make sure and hope that this strategy works. Sirotkin, meanwhile, still in 19th place. Has Perez moved up the order? He has. Perez has started to go down the track a little bit away from Sirotkin. Billy Johnson, after his really good qualifying session, finds himself now in 18th place in the Toro Rosso. He's started to drop back, whilst Esteban Ocon now is holding on here. He's about 2 seconds to the car in front of him, Stoffel Van Dorn. A lot quicker than us. Look at that, it's about half a second quicker. Where's he going to be after this lap? Sirotkin does a 129.7, we do a 131.1. And Van Dorn actually goes past Carlos Sainz now. So we're going to turn back up a little bit with the tyres. We managed to cool them down. We just want to keep them as pretty cool as we want. We don't want them running in the red. We don't want these tyres overheating and just fading away too quickly. But Sirotkin's doing a really good job. Only 20% of this tyre gone after 5 laps, so he's going to be able to easily get to the lap 20 that we want him to get to. I say easily, it's going to be a stretch. Obviously the hard tyres can go down to 0% before they lose any performance. Meanwhile, 0.42 of the fuel here gone early on, so if we switch back to medium now, we'll try and recover some fuel. Ocon about to do his fastest lap of the race. We see a 129.3 or 130.9. We're actually quicker than Stoffel Van Dorn by over a second here. I don't think we're going to be able to carry that on for another lap since we've turned down the fuel for this lap. Sirotkin, meanwhile, has managed to get past Billy Johnson, moves himself up into 18th place. Esteban Ocon still in this 12th place. I'm guessing it's going to be around, what can the cars do on this? Around about lap 10 that they can get in for that soft tyre. And if they go soft hard, they're going to be pushing it to get to the end of the race, all these cars. So I'm guessing these cars that have started on the soft are going to be doing a 2-stop, so it might work out for Esteban Ocon here as this race goes on. And Sergey, as we know, still in 18th place at the moment. So we're back on lap 9 now. Esteban Ocon is in 10th place. We've seen K-Mag in the Mercedes coming to the pits. He's currently 90th. Roman Grosjean in the Haas is pitted. These guys are going to be doing a 2-stop here. Sirotkin is battling away at the moment, still with Sergio Perez, who's still around him. Pierre Gasly is behind. Sirotkin's managed to move himself up the order a little bit here. Managed to get ahead of Pierre Gasly. He was, I think he was still in front of those the last time we checked, back in front of Mazepin and Billy Johnson. But we're just waiting for the other cars to come in. As we see, more cars are coming into the pits now. Esteban Ocon is 7th place, so we see they're coming in for the medium tyres as well. So they're going to have to 2-stop during this race. So it's going to depend on where we can get out of the pits at, to whether we can move ourselves back into the points with Esteban Ocon, seeing if this 1-stop strategy can work out for us here. Sergei Sirotkin, meanwhile, 13th place, still ahead of Pierre Gasly, and he managed to make that move on Sergio Perez now. Sirotkin having an excellent race himself. Danny Rick has come into the pits as well on the Red Bull. He's going to be 2-stopping as well. So he's about 10 seconds behind. We will be about 10 seconds behind that. So if we can sort of hang on to that, I don't think we can. but Esteban Ocon could be challenging one of the Red Bulls once he sort of makes his pit stop. We've got 23 laps remaining. We need to get to around 20 laps remaining to make sure Ocon to get through to the end of the race. A lap or two more than that ideally would be perfect, but as we can see, Sorokin has done 11 laps. He's at 50% at the moment. He's sort of easily hanging on to these tyres. Are going to go past the 20th lap, which is where we would want them to be for Ocon. Hamilton has pitted as well for a medium tyre, but he's right on the back of Esteban Ocon here, although he's been slowed down, whereas Vettel's coming for the hard tyre. So Vettel might be trying the one stop here. We'll see if that's going to work out for him. We're not in any competition here, so we're not going to change anything with Hamilton, with the Works Mercedes team. We're not going to try and fight him away, but we do have Kimi Räikkönen as well behind that has improved massively. I think he qualified in 14th place, so that's a really good position for him. Esteban Ocon, maybe these tyres can only go to 20%, so 21 laps remaining. We're right at the point now where we do possibly need to get off this medium tyre. So let's push. We'll get it done early. It's going to be a little hard. We've got a little bit of risk with the just with fixing the parts, isn't it? That's all. Mistake chance, the risk's pretty low, 26%. What are we on? That would be a 1.8. The safe pit stop would be a 2.0. It's only 0.3 of a second. Try to get this one stop to work. We do need to make sure we have a decent pit stop. So we'll get into the pits on this lap with Esteban Ocon. These mediums possibly could go to, I think it might even be 10%. Could we start another lap just to make sure we can get this medium, well, the hard tyre that we're going on to after. Can we get that through to the end of the race? So we're going to stick out one more lap here. Oh no, he's actually coming to the pits. I didn't actually cancel the pit stop, so not to matter. We're going to come out in a decent position. 20th place, and we're sort of on the back of these cars now that we could possibly be in range of Danny Rick, although he's going to pick up time over us whilst we're running a little bit slower on the harder compound tyre. But as we know, all these teams within this distance are reachable for us, so we're within a shout of getting points here. Sorokin, meanwhile, he's in 7th place. He's doing a really good job of hanging on to these hard tyres. And Ocon just hanging on at the back here. Is he slower than Nico Hulkenberg? He's actually gaining on Nico Hulkenberg. They're on old mediums at the moment. We're pushing the fuel a little bit at the moment as well, but 20th place for Ocon. He's put himself in a really good position here. We see Marcus Ericsson into the pits as well. They will be going for a one stop in the Sauber. I would guess, no, he's gone onto a soft. So it looks like the Sauber as well, even though they could have gone for a one stop strategy, are going for that two stop. Right, so we're currently on lap 19. So Sorokin's running in 5th place, but obviously he hasn't made a pit stop yet. He's under pressure from Kevin Magnussen in this Mercedes, who's already needing to do his second pit stop. But Sorokin's just about made it here. There's going to be 13 laps after this, so he should be able to see this medium through to the end of the race now, especially if we just sort of look after it. Esteban Ocon, meanwhile, he's on this hard tyre now. He's in a really good position to catch a lot of these cars up once they do their second pit stop. So hopefully he's still in the position to get a points finish here. But we're just going to watch Sorokin. Hopefully he's going to have a decent pit stop here. We didn't make any mistake on Ocon's pit stops. But here goes Sorokin into the pits now. He's going to release that Mercedes. We get onto this medium, no problems there at all. We can come out in neutral. We can still run in high fuel mode at the moment. We've still got a lot of room to work with the fuel, because it's easily recoverable towards the end of the race. But we're still currently 14th place here. We're just hanging on to the back of this little pack of cars that are in front of us at the moment. There's Roman Grosjean, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, who is yet to pit, all on the softer compound tyre. But we're just sort of biding our time now with a pit stop. Is about 20 seconds. We could be somewhere around here once all these cars decide to pit. So Esteban Ocon is in a really good position. Obviously the other AI cars will be going on to fresher tyres, so they will be able to come back at us. We're just trying to stretch this hard tyre out to the end of the race. Although Esteban Ocon making a move on Roman Grosjean down the pit straight. He managed to make that stick. He's got Carlos Sainz in his sights as well. Carlos Sainz going a little bit slower. We going quicker than them by 0.7 of a second almost. And we're going to start seeing some of these other cars that are doing the two stop start to come into the pits pretty soon. But Sergey as well just hanging on. He's up into 14th as well. He's possibly got some moves that he can make. He's possibly on for a points finish if he can just sort of hang on. But obviously, as I just said, the cars towards the end of the race will be on softer compound, well, not on softer compound tyres, but fresher tyres, which would allow them to catch up. But 11th place now, we're almost up into the points places. We're going to be seeing Danny Rick coming soon. And there we see Felix Rosenquist, who's dropped way down the order after his second place that he was in. These tyres getting a little bit cold, so we're going to have to go in push mode a little bit for Esteban Ocon as well. Might moving past these cars as well. We need to get pushing a little bit on these hard tyres, just so they don't get into the point where they get too cold. If we can just sort of keep these tyres warm here. We're now up into 10th place. Sergei Sorokin still hanging on. 14th place, he's got no one really around him. He's got a Mercedes in front of him that he's trying to catch, but yeah, not much we can do with Sergei, hoping just that some of these cars pit and move them up the order a little bit. Whereas Esteban Ocon, these tyres are there. We're not going to waste too much of this tyre competing with Carlos Sainz. We know he needs to pit again, although we say that and it looks like he's making the move anyways. Esteban, is he going to be able to make it stick? Sainz has got the inside line, but then not through the hole of that chicane, but he gets the inside line. Does Sainz there manage to get back in front? We're just not going to push here, and we'll switch back to medium for a little bit. We'll get the fuel recovering, and then we'll hopefully have a little bit to push with towards the end of the race. Esteban Ocon's about halfway through this tyre. He's done 10 laps and he's about halfway through the tyre, so it's easily going to get to the end of the race. Hopefully, possibly will get down to around 10%, but that's good enough. But here we go through the pits. Ocon moves up to 8%, puts him out in front of Stoffel Van Dorn, Hulkenberg, Grosjean. So everyone up here still inside of us at the moment. Danny Rick has got out in front of us by about 6 seconds, but we've still got Kimi Raikkonen and Carlos Sainz in our sight at the moment with Esteban Ocon. Sorokin's up into the points as well. He's currently in 10th place, so he's running a really good race as well at the moment. So hopefully somehow we can just hang on to these 2 places now. 8 laps remaining at the moment, although there will be soon. Vettel is a long way in front. He's got another stop to make. If Hamilton can close that up quickly, although Vettel might try, I don't think he'll try risk getting to the end of the race, but Hamilton does have a chance of winning this race if he can close this gap up quickly on this medium tyre and get in front of Vettel once Vettel does decide to pit. Meanwhile, Ocon, unlike Vettel, has done a really good job on this hard tyre. Vettel's blown through that hard tyre a little bit quicker. But we're just running now. Let's get back into high mode for a little bit with these 2 cars as well. We do have up to 22 seconds, so there is still a chance of catching Bottas. Verstappen's into the pits and he's got a problem with his car as well, so we're going to be able to pass Verstappen whilst he's in the pits. We see as well Carlos Sainz coming, moves us up to 6th place now. So Bottas is still a good shout here to get in front of, as is Kimi Raikkonen. So we could be looking at a 4th place finish here from Esteban Ocon, running this one-stop strategy. Sergei Sorokin possibly could get out in front of Kimi Raikkonen as well once Kimi decides to get off this tyre. K-Mag is possibly running to the end of the race. We see Vettel pit now. Vettel is in the pits. I don't think Hamilton's done enough closing that gap. Vettel's setting off out of the pits. Here comes Hamilton. They're going to be close, and Hamilton has taken the lead in this Grand Prix. Obviously a lot longer than 20 seconds, so that gives us a good chance, well, an easy chance of getting out ahead of Bottas here. We move on down the road. Ocon out into 4th place, and that is Kevin Magnussen now behind us on a pair of used medium tyres, whereas Bottas come up behind Sorokin as well. He's 8 seconds behind Ocon, so that is really good for Ocon here. We've got a good points finish. Sorokin up into 6th place somehow, all the way from 18th place, making this one-stop strategy work to perfection here, and he's got a lot of life left in this medium tyre as well. Sorokin just doing a really good job of hanging on to this tyre. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon, we won't try and push this tyre too much. It's starting to get a little too cold, but we're just going to hang on to that to the end of the race when we'll get recovering this little bit of fuel so we can go in high mode maybe for the last lap. We're not going to be able to keep Valtteri Bottas behind us on that fresh medium tyre in the Ferrari. There's no point fighting it. Our fight is going to be with Stoffel Van Dorn and Kimi Raikkonen with Sorokin, so we're just going to hold on for that fight. We're not going to try fight with Valtteri Bottas, although if Sorokin can hold him behind him, that would be absolutely great if he could slow him down. But K-Mag's the fight here with Esteban Ocon. What is he doing? A 126.7, 1.5 seconds almost quicker at the moment, although he's really pushing, although he was pushing, he's starting to dial back on what he's doing. We've got the hard tyres in the red zone, but as we know, they can run to 0% without any loss in performance. We're just sort of hanging on here as we approach the final few laps of this Grand Prix. Sergei Sorokin, meanwhile, doing 128.1. He's quicker than Van Dorn and quicker than Raikkonen, although it looks like, oh no, he's not. He was quicker than Emma on the last lap. They've decided to speed up about a second quicker at the moment, although I don't think they're going to push for that long. But we do have room to push with Sergei Sorokin if we want to try keep those two cars behind us. Whether we can actually go ahead and make that happen is another question. K-Mag's 2.5 seconds behind at the moment. He's lapping about 8 tenths quicker, so 3 laps remaining after this lap once Esteban Ocon comes round. And the McLaren's getting a little bit too close for comfort here, so we're going to go in push mode a little bit with Sorokin. Ocon is still 2 seconds ahead, so things looking up and good for Esteban Ocon. Whether we can hold on to 4th place is another question. Even if we finish 5th and 9th with this, that would be an amazing result considering where I thought we were going to be with this Grand Prix. 4th and 7th or even 5th and 9th would be an amazing points haul. Puts us over 100 points at pretty much the halfway point of the season. We're on round 8 out of 17. K-Mag's not closing the distance that quickly, and neither is Kimi Raikkonen, but he's about to get passed by his teammate here. Kimi Raikkonen gets past Stoffel Van Dorn, so Kimi's going all out for this 7th place. He had a really bad qualifying session, but he's made up for it during the race, and Kevin Magnussen's sort of falling back now. We can go into high mode. We're about half a lap away from coming on to the last lap. Sorokin, his tyres a little bit overcooked here, 23%. I think these can get down to 10% before you start losing performance. It might be 15, I can't quite remember. Obviously this would be a good way of checking whether they do start to lose performance. We've still got the performance there with Ocon. These can go to 0%. Looks like he's easily going to hold on to that 4th place. It's just whether Sorokin is quicker this lap than he was on the last one, although he started slowing down. He goes quicker on that last lap than the one before it. What's he going to be like on this lap? These tyres are 18%. It looks like we're holding off the 2 McLarens behind us on a lot fresher tyres. Still 1.8 seconds here. K-Mag's now falling behind, possibly push that medium tyre beyond the point. What's he gone to? 60%. It looks like his performance is falling off, whereas Sorokin's isn't. So Sorokin quicker on this lap than the last lap over that first sector, although we've got Max Verstappen flying on a soft tyre compound. And Sorokin's about to set his quickest lap of the Grand Prix, so it looks like he's about to keep hold of that 7th place. We'll switch back to Ocon to see him come across the line. Another amazing race for him. Looks like Sorokin's going to hold on for this 7th place. He does, ahead of Max Verstappen in the Red Bull and the 2 McLarens there in 9th and 10th. But Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. The Ferrari of Vettel 2nd, the Red Bull Danny Rick in 3rd, then we've got Ocon, Magnussen, Bottas. An amazing race for us, 4th and 7th. Sorokin, 2 amazing races in a row for Sorokin. Really giving me sort of the dilemma that why would I replace him this season with another driver at the end of this season, even with another driver when he's performing so well. But obviously we want to put someone in the car that we can build up. Sorokin does have the limit of only being able to get to a 3.5 level star driver. That is the problem, but he's performing really well this season. 7th place finish. And we see Danny Rick get demoted down the order to 5th place, obviously breaking the rules with some risky parts. Move Esteban Ocon up for another podium finish here, 3rd place. The parts weren't too risky that it knocks Danny Rick down 4 places, so Sorokin doesn't get the benefit of the boost. So Esteban Ocon, I think that's his 4th podium finish this season. Obviously, all down to Danny Rick running some risky parts in that Red Bull car. So that puts Esteban Ocon into 4th place in the driver's standings now. He's got a chance of knocking on the door of Danny Ricciardo. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton is a massive favourite this season. He's a long way ahead of Sebastian Vettel, but Sergei Sorokin up into 11th place, 26 points. Considering considering Perez, Sainz, Hunkum. I don't think the Force Indycar is better than ours at the moment, but the Haas and Renault, well, the Haas isn't actually better than us at the moment now, is it? Because they're 7th, I think, overall, but especially the Renault. The Renault is a lot better than us, and for Sergey to be matching the points haul of Nico Hulkenberg in that Renault and beating out Felix Rosenqvist, who is 16th with just 1 point in that Renault, it's just absolutely amazing. We're currently 4th place, 110 points, a long way ahead of Haas. This 4th place is ours. We're only 39 points behind the Ferrari. But obviously the Ferrari will be strong as the season goes on. But we are punching sort of above our weights. But we've done a really good job of improving the car over that first season. And we've got a rival with a driver. The driver will not join a team with their rival Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, as I've looked, is interested in joining our team. I think his contract's up with Red Bull at the end of this season. Obviously, he's a little bit too good and wanting a little bit too much money, because we're still wanting to plough as much money into the car as we can. But if we look at those results for Esteban Ocon this season, an 18th to start the season, which is when he crashed. But since then, he's had a 2nd, 6th, 9th, 3rd in the points every race that he's finished. And if we look at Sorokin, really good performances from him. 4 points finishes, and the times he was outside the points have been a 13th, a 13th and 2 12ths. Amazing for him. We came 3rd. Overall, Frank Williams still really happy with us. £845,000 coming into the bank, which is amazing considering you don't get any sponsorship money per race. But yeah, just absolutely amazing. GP3, we get Giuliano Alesi winning. Who's winning the Constructors? Trident Junior. Whether they accept promotion is another question. After we saw Dams in F2 last season rejected the move up, whether Trident will accept that Formula 3 move up to Formula 2 or GP3 to Formula 2. But I need to remember to do the pit crew before the next race anyway. But anyway, we'll just get over and done with this interview with David Coulthard for Channel 4. Esteban Ocon has claimed that keep getting this question to do with the gates and the brakes and the gearbox. We just say needs to button it, never upsets him. The other one would affect the marketability, one would upset the chairman, I think. Pit crew review, we did a 1.8.25 seconds slower than the last, our quickest of the season, and we know we've got that rival with the driver. I don't think we got another one. Pit blunder, Hans Sebastian Vettel's win to Hamilton. So Hamilton did have a pit stop that went awry in that last race. How far behind was he? 2.2 seconds. Pit blunder, Hans. Oh no, Vettel had that pit blunder. That's why he came out behind Hamilton. I read that totally wrong then. Yeah, because Hamilton did win the race. What was I even thinking? Yeah, so a pit blunder from the Ferrari allowed Hamilton that win. Allows him to extend his lead at the top of the championship. That's 70 points plus lead that he's got. But it looks like the Ardennes race for the next Grand Prix is going to be rainy, which is what we'll be coming back for next time. Should be a decent race for us. The engine is crucial, the front wing crucial, the gearbox thankfully just useful, so could be a decent track for us. Obviously we're hoping for another points finish from Ocon. Maybe we can get Sorokin up there into the points again somehow. But anyway, that is it for this episode of this Williams Resurrection career. Leave a comment, like, subscribe if you already aren't, all the usual stuff. But until next time, I'll see you in Belgium for the Ardennes Grand Prix, and goodbye.